So I think women went through an era where we were like girl boss. And girl boss is amazing, but it really was a solo endeavor. It was like a lone wolf just saying like, I can do everything. I can hold all of the things and be amazing. And yes, women did it, but they burned themselves out in a lot of ways. And so with this team atmosphere, when I was like, let's do women in power, finding women and allies that are going to say, hey, I see what you're doing here, but like, here are the pieces that I can understand. Here's what the value I can bring. We make each other better.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jonathan Jones, and I am here again live from the Microsoft 365 Community Conference. And I have two amazing and very special guests with me here today. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Danielle Moon. I am the founder of Women in Power and also a senior specialist with Microsoft.
Hi, I'm Sravani Seethi. I'm a senior product manager and a co-founder of Women in Power. I work for the wider CAPE team and under CAPE CAT team.
Awesome. I'm so excited to sit down and have a conversation with you both. We actually just got off the stage from one of the amazing events this conference had to offer and activations. We had the Women in Tech luncheon and panel with some amazing execs and celebrity guests for that panel. Can you tell us just a bit about what really stood out to you from that moment, and what do you really hope people can take away from that? Not just emotionally feel, but really actionize and do following that.
Yeah.
Do you want to go first?
No, you can go first.
Okay. Man, there's so many things that I want people to take away from that. It's like, how do we jam as much as possible into an event? I think one of the biggest parts, though, is that activation layer of actually connecting, not just sitting next to somebody during the lunch, but that finding somebody who could be a mentor, a sponsor, open a door for you. I think that is one of the biggest pieces we look forward to. We don't want people just to show up and hear a really amazing panel. Don't get me wrong. The panel is amazing.
Absolutely.
We had Kia, who, oh my gosh, I think she could teach like lessons.
For sure.
Yeah.
But I want people to be able to actually see each other at the table and recognize a kindred spirit, or someone who is like, hey, I see you. Let me elevate you. Let me tell your story in a room that you're not even in. And so I think those are some of the big things that I'm hoping we see with the activation layer coming out of this.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just following on to your point, Daniel was on the stage running the panel, but for me in the audience, I was sitting in a group of such wonderful women, and I was so lucky to make those connections in the audience. I took a lot of bits and pieces from the panels, thoughts and opinions on AI and where it's going, as well as how to build that skill, how to build the leadership within your team and beyond, and be visible and loud.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And again, like you said, it was just so amazing to witness people just really authentically connecting. Like you said, not just sitting there, in passing, but, really getting to know each other and connecting to that point. What do you consider to be, again, as a takeaway, like a changed behavior that people can, really walk away with and, again, just actionize on?
I think some of the allies showing up in that space is sometimes some of the bigger lessons learned. Like, a lot of women show up because we're in the middle of it every single day.
Yeah, absolutely.
But when you actually have an ally who's maybe never felt comfortable showing up, and they are like, okay, I'll do the lunch, let me do that. And then they hear the stories, I think sometimes that opens their eyes to, oh wow, I didn't realize maybe I was doing that, or how should I be representing this? To me, the allyship is huge to it. And we talk about it a lot alongside the idea of mentoring. I think those are two big pieces that come out. So I would say both of those are probably pretty relevant.
Yeah, absolutely.
For me, I'll go into very tactical things. I come from a very technical background, and for me, just looking at everything that's coming out in terms of AI and all the different announcements every 10 minutes, it's hard to keep up. And to hear the panel talk about their thoughts on how to block out that noise and still focus on what you want to deliver. And to Kia's point about not just getting the crumbs off the table, but making sure you know what you want to fill your plate with and take that away was my biggest takeaway.
Yeah, that was a
Kia
quote.
with
That
the
was a
crumbs,
quote for sure.
come on. I think everybody in the
amazing.
audience just was like,
Yeah, drop mic. Drop
yeah,
mic
we
moment.
were like, we could just go home. Like,
Absolutely. That's what you came to the conference to hear, for
100%.
sure. Sravani, I heard you mention that, you have a very technical background. So for both of you, I'm curious, what was your entry point into tech? And especially being women in tech, was there ever a point that you maybe felt discouraged to continue? And with that, what really did encourage you to keep going and keep pushing through?
Well, I said I'm currently technical, but I didn't come from a technical background.
One of my favorite stories.
Okay.
I was a dentist before I moved to tech. I finished dental school, and my grad school was in a completely different thing. But eventually I knew I had that affinity towards tech and problem solving. I think that's where I started. And to your point about like doubting myself, that's pretty much every day.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get better at it, but it's always there, the constant. I need to be better. I need to be perfect before I put myself out there. So that doubt is always there. But what helped me is all my mentors and my sponsors throughout my career. They've helped me realize and make me shine better and show my work being visible to the world. So that's what made me, keep going at learning and enjoying the work and not just feeling too anxious about what to learn and what to do next.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I completely resonate with that. Me being younger in a lot of the rooms, I do feel that imposter syndrome, sometimes. And I love what Karolina said when she was up on the panel. She said, you already have the job. Like, you're there for a reason.
Yeah,
So
I related to that so much. When she said just exhale, it felt like a weight lifted off my shoulders. Yeah.
Absolutely. How about you?
But you're also, think about it you're young and you're already in the room.
Absolutely.
Some of us couldn't get in the room at that age. And I think that's something that's like super empowering that I'm starting to see. Like, don't take it as a negative. You take it as like, I'm in the room. What kind of chaos can I cause? Yeah.
For sure. I love that.
But getting into technology, I'm a Nepo baby. So my mom was a VP of IT in an oil gas company, and I was working in a bike shop, and I thought cycling was the thing. And then I called her up and I was like, oh, I kind of need a big girl job. Like, I need an actual career. What do I do? And so she kind of set me up for an interview, and I never thought I was made for that space. And she was like, you can do this. Like, you understand processes. Like, you get a hold of this really fast. And so I went into it thinking, okay, fine, I'll do this for a little bit. And then I started learning processes, and I started understanding how businesses are run. And then the tech that supports those things was so much cooler. And so being a curious cat, just nonstop, everything you could get a hold of, really helped. And then I think also seeing how it helped people in their positions. And I was like, okay, I want more of that. So that's kind of against my will. I got into the technology side of it, and now I couldn't imagine a different life.
Yeah, absolutely. And both of you mentioned, mentorship. You mentioned sponsorship. And a lot of people, are still trying to conceptualize what the difference is and what that means. And I feel like we talk about mentorship more than we do sponsorship. So can you speak a bit to that aspect of sponsorship and what it's done for your career, how powerful it is as a tool to career development?
Yeah, I'll get into a real life example with Danielle sitting right here. She has been my just mentor, and I'm trying to think of a better word for a mentor. But she is, I'm just learning so much from her every day. She shares her energy. She shares her, she helps me build that confidence and stand up for myself. And on the sponsorship side, she's a dual role for me. When I'm not there, she's still talking about me in different groups, and she is putting my name out there.
Sometimes against her will.
In all good ways.
Yeah.
So that's like a perfect example of mentorship being the one-on-one, helping the person come out of their bubble or help them create a plan to go forward. And sponsorship is showing up for them even when they're not there.
Yeah, and sometimes it is, against their will, but you when you have that relationship with someone, they are able to see, some strengths that you may say like, oh, I'm not equipped to do this, but they might see that you're ready for it. So Danielle, for you, what's it like to be someone's sponsor and support them in that way?
Oh, it's a lot of pressure. No, it's probably one of the best gifts you could absolutely ever have, to be able to see somebody's light and want to put even more focus on it and just know that they're capable of being so much brighter. I think there's a lot to that. It's also, I think a lot of women don't make it an actual time to put in and say, oh, I'm going to make this official. Like we joke at that you don't want to find yourself in a situationship. You want to find yourself in a mentorship. And so taking that step and saying, no, I'm expecting these things. This is what I want to get out of it. Really helps shape that mentoring edge. And then sponsorship is another area that like we're just now really starting to push into, because if you're not in the room, but you know somebody who can get into that room, there's a narrative there. And I think that's really important that we start really structuring what does that narrative need to be? And we talked about during the panel too, you heard a lot of them saying, I need to be more aware of what to ask for. I need to really like think about what my next step is and how do I get there. That's where that sponsor is. That's someone who can kind of hijack your whole situation and like move it to a whole different orbit. Where I feel like the mentor is your day-to-day guidance. It's the checking in person. It's the one who's going to have the constructive feedback. Your sponsor is not going to see, I think, a lot of your day-to-day. They're big picture. And then you've got your day-to-day relationships. That's kind of how I see both of those working.
Yeah, absolutely. And a common theme throughout both of those is the idea of community, right? Essentially, you can't get anywhere on your own. We've been saying throughout the conference, everything, fill in the blank is a team sport. AI is a team sport. Security is a team sport. So what does it mean for both of you to really lean into that idea of community as you grow your career, as you have grown your career? How has that helped your trajectory?
Oh, it's completely different, right? Like it's there. So I think women went through an era where we were like girl boss, and I'm wearing the lipstick right now, right?
Of course.
And girl boss is amazing, but it really was a solo endeavor. It was like a lone wolf just saying like, I can do everything. I can hold all of the things and be amazing. And yes, women did it, but they burned themselves out in a lot of ways. And so with this team atmosphere, when I was like, let's do women in power, I'm a chaos gremlin. Guess who is grounded and structured?
It's balanced.
and I was like, I have these crazy ideas. And she's like, and we've got to action them.
Right.
And I'm like, okay.
There are
like,
steps to make that happen.
She's like, we got to like put a plan together. And I'm like, yeah, but here's just like the big idea. That's community, is finding women and allies that are going to say, hey, I see what you're doing here, but like, here are the pieces that I can understand. Here's what the value I can bring. We make each other better. And you can't do that if you're by yourself. And no one's going to help you understand those elements if you're just by yourself. Like, it's kind of boring. Spice it up, add your community in, and then you're going to get so many different pieces of feedback, collaborations, strengths, all of it. I mean, there's just nothing but goodness there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And for me, I think AI is so, it's not brand new anymore. People are starting to get a hang of it. But if you're thinking about switching careers from like various different things into tech, initially it was a huge jump. Like you need to know programming languages if you're getting into technical roles or even strategizing, all of that. But AI is like the ground where everyone's just starting off. And by learning from each other, sharing what what we're finding out, as simple as sharing a prompt that really helped me, to something that I built, like a custom agent with others, and how I built it. That knowledge sharing is priceless. That's how we would accelerate even further, not by just being a lone wolf.
Yeah, I love that. And there's also, with Women in Power, with Women in M365, of course, we lean on the community to help us tell our stories and help us continue to build that community. So what is one like CTA or ask that you both will have from your respective communities to really help continue, drive learning, drive curiosity in this space?
Well, this year we did committees, it's new for us. So previously we were really focused on our mentoring layer, and we went 1,000 women last year. So I mean, that's amazing. And our latest cohort is 300. So that's good for our mentoring side. This year now we're pivoting to delve more into skills. And so I think from a call to action moment is join those, get some power skills in there. Don't just get mentoring because that can only take you so far. You still have to be someone who can show up and do the job. And so I think, yes, it's joining us, getting involved. If you have a skill, tell us so that we can then broadcast you and we can give you a stage so that you can then share what you've learned. Because to your point, like if you don't have a good prompt, that's okay. Somebody else does. So let's leverage it.
Yeah. We're seeing so many success stories on how women who haven't built anything in tech build their first app, build their first, prompt, repeatable list of skills or whatnot. We want to amplify that and create a safe space for those kind of first timers or like people who are anxious and, support them and push them towards a supportive community, so that it's not like you're just walking into a conference and doing a presentation for 400 people. Rather, you're growing within that supportive community and then slowly build that confidence up from each other.
Yeah, absolutely. Sravani, you mentioned that AI isn't anything new anymore. We've been able to witness it go from something that's completely new to, okay, I understand it a bit, to how fast-paced it is now. What does it look like to really keep that, and Vasu talked about it a bit in her keynote, as being human-centric. What does it look like to keep your humanity and keep that aspect of, being human in the center of AI evolving so rapidly?
I think I work with customers day in and day out. One of the things that I hear very commonly is, I want an agent for something. What does an agent mean? For everything, really. What does agent mean to you and what is it actually solving? Always start with the business value or the business pain point that you're trying to solve for. That should be the grounding for any solution you build, whether it's agents or automations or AI-based solutions. It all comes back to the person behind the scenes. What are we trying to improve in terms of productivity or time savings, and just go from there. The human is always our core. We're helping the human be more productive, not the other way around.
I like that. And Vasu and I talked about that a bit in our conversation, is really, it's leaning into a relationship, with AI. It's not here to replace, it's not here to, take everyone's jobs as everyone is worried about, but, it's coming to your job. It's meant to empower you and, like you said, make us more productive. Danielle, in your career and becoming the powerhouse that you are, what have you seen be something that people don't really talk about, especially for women in this space of tech, that they probably should vocalize a bit more?
Oh, I think there's still an uncertainty that if a lot of AI is based off of previous and prior pieces, where is the bias that might still be there? And how do we make sure that that doesn't show up in future models? So I think that's really coming down to how do we get more women involved in the creation of these large models or large language models and doing more things from the ground level to ensure that when someone asks a question, it doesn't come across bias, and it opens their eyes to a more open, natural, neutral state versus something that is like, well, if this is the state of what it's always been, then here's your, exposed answer. So I think that would be one of them. We see a lot of women who are now starting to really get into the AI space, and I hope that means that there's going to be a different lens focused in that arena.
Yeah. And Sravani, for you, you pivoted into this tech space. So what does that look like for you?
I think I feel like in level ground for the first time, and it's really exciting because I've always been passionate about empowering business users to get into tech and start being closer to tech, not just consuming the products coming out of IT teams. And this AI era is just, accelerating that sentiment even further because everyone can prompt now. Everyone has started to prompt. Now we're going towards more repeatable set of prompts as in skills and so on. So we're building up on that. And when I see that gradual shift of getting everyone into tech space and not just relying on IT teams to build these giant solutions that take months or years to deliver, I think that's really resonating with me.
Awesome. Well, as we wrap up today, is there any last ask or CT? I know you both probably have a lot coming up with women in M365, women in power. Is there anything that the people should be aware of that's coming?
I mean, we just wrapped our first cohort, so that just got kicked off, but we'll be announcing another round of cohort signups in a couple of months.
Yeah.
Please make sure you get involved in that. And then we'll have the skills as well. So there's that piece. Am I forgetting anything else? Well,
No.
all the sign up to follow us, right? So make sure that you're on our list of following our news.
Yeah, there's a lot of tech skilling sessions coming up, and if you're interested in presenting or interested in a certain kind of journey, whether it's AI specific or a certain tool, platform, whatever that might be, just let us know and we'll take that feedback.
Awesome. Well, Danielle, Sravani, it's been a pleasure. Again, my name is Jonathan Jones, here live from the Microsoft 365 Community Conference, and we are closing out. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.